Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a full collection video from demand from you guys. So the first ones we're going to start with today are my two baby crested geckos. These guys were bred by the adults that we'll see later on this year. So they're only a couple months old at the moment, so they are still quite young. As you can see, this one has lost his tail. When they are first born, they are sort of fragile, so when they're disturbed they drop their tail quite easily. However, it doesn't do them any harm. These guys are doing really well at the moment. They're feeding on both rapashi and also small crickets. So that's those guys, and we'll move on to the next animal. So moving on to my next part of the collection. This here is my Pac-Man frog. It's still quite young at the moment. It has been seen in one of the previous videos of the actual care video on it. As you can see, it has grown quite a bit. And if you have liked my Facebook page, you would have seen recently I posted a picture of it eating its first mouse, which it went quite well. It did really eat it and did quite enjoy it actually. It's quite good to feed them whole prey items. As in the wild, they are naturally frog eaters, so this one's doing really well. I'm unsure of what sex it is at the moment. Apparently, you can only sort of tell when they're adults due to the different sizes, as females are slightly larger. So that's the Pac-Man frog that's doing quite well at the moment. We'll move on to the next one. So moving on to the next reptile. This is actually my Draco, or flying dragon lizard. So these are quite uncommonly kept in the hobby and are quite rare. So unfortunately the two adults, the adult male and adult female, did unfortunately die. However, the young one is doing really well. You can see her just there. So with Dracos, you can tell the difference between the sex, as females have a blue dewlap and actually the males have a yellow one. So she's doing really well, growing quite well. This is actually her vivarium. It's quite heavily planted, as these lizards do stress quite easily. So she likes the cover. It's quite hot and quite humid also, in order to create the perfect habitat for them. So we'll move on to the next animal. So this is the next animal. This is actually my Cobalt blue tarantula. And she's actually been a bit strange recently, and has been hiding outside of her burrow. So you can see her just there. You can see the blue iridescence of their carapace and the body. So she lives in here. Usually, like I said, she is hidden away. However, quite recently, she's been out for about 4 weeks now above her actual burrow. You can see the burrow just in the corner, which is where she usually hides. So that's her. We'll move on to the next invert. So next up, here's my king baboon female. She is an adult female. She'll get slightly bigger. They get to having about a 20 centimeter leg span. So this is actually her cage. She has relatively deep substrate. It was all level until she dug it all up. And it came to about this level here. She's dug it up and built a burrow that goes all the way around to there. You can see her just there. You can tell it's a female because of the size of her. Males don't get anywhere near as large, and you can also see by the large feet there. She's just going to go back off into her burrow. She's quite a nervous species. However, if they are quite heavily disturbed, they get quite aggressive. So we'll move on to the next one. So next up, here's my Asian giant forest toad. This is quite a new one to my collection. And it's actually in a holding cage at the moment, just to make sure it's sort of okay and well. They're actually quite a large species. It's not fully grown yet. And I'll place it on my hand just to show you just how large it is. So they are quite large. It is quite a formidable eater, and actually the feeding video that I posted on the channel, it actually ate 20 crickets. So they eat quite a lot of food. I've got it as a basic setup so far with just Eco Earth, which is quite damp, as these are quite a strange species of toad, as they're found near rivers. So they need the substrate to be extremely damp and almost waterlogged, and a very large water dish for them to sit in. I do use temporarily at the moment a plastic tub that I've cut and sort of made the edge not sharp for it to hide him. And it's doing really well so far, so it should be getting an upgrade soon. So we'll move on to the next one. So the next animal, this is actually my plumed basilisk female. She has been showcased on the channel before in the feeding video. You can tell she's not exactly the friendliest lizard I keep. She doesn't really like people, so she's not handled very often because of the fact she gets quite stressed out. So she lives in a 2 foot by 3 foot viv at the moment. So her setup's quite basic at the moment. It has got one plant that she's sort of destroyed. She has quite a lot of actual branches which she enjoys to sit on, and she often will sleep across this. I did post a picture the other day on my Facebook page of her actually basking underneath the bulb. So I actually have 2 sources of UVB in this cage. I have the actual strip bulb and also a D3 basking bulb, which is sort of partially the reason why her colours are so bright. They really do help with the colours. So we'll move on to the next one. So here's my pair of Thai vinegaroons. Here's the male and female. These are the same guys that were featured on my recent video. I have actually put them together now in the hopes of them to breed. I'm not going to showcase the tailless whip scorpions, just for the fact is my female's actually gravid, so I don't want to stress her out too much. I'm just going to wait for her to actually have the young before videoing her. I will keep an update up, and when she does have the actual scorpions, I will post a video on that. So we'll actually move on to my desert hairy scorpion now. So here's my desert hairy scorpion just there. I'm unsure of what sex it is. It's quite fat, so I'm unsure whether it's gravid or coming up to a molt. It has been like this for quite a while, but that's doing really well. The setup has been changed a little bit because I believe it may possibly want to molt. I have actually included a cricket tub with some moss in it. Because desert hairy scorpions do not like high humidity, I put the box in so it actually has a place to be able to retreat to if it needs a humidity to molt. Recently I haven't been putting on the basking bulb, as I did read online on some actual care on desert hairy scorpions, and it mentioned that having a cooling period is quite good for them. So during the day now, the actual temperature is about 26 degrees Celsius instead of the 32 degrees Celsius it used to be. And I mean, it's still acting perfectly healthy and doing really, really well. So this is partially an update and also a other show. So if you can remember, this is actually my young curly hair tarantula. It was a sling when I first showcased it. However, you can see it's now grown quite a bit. It's now been moved into a cricket tub instead of the little deli pot that it used to live in, this one here. Due to it now growing much bigger, it's now had and given a water bowl because there's no fear really now of it drowning. So that one's doing really, really well. Still unsure of the sex, as it's still slightly too small to actually sex the molt. So we'll move on to the next spider. So if you can see just in the corner there is my Socotra island baboon. It's grown quite a bit since it was last showed on the channel, and is starting to develop the adult coloration. It's growing quite quick actually, and has been molting recently about once every 2 months. So it's growing extremely fast. I did try to sex the molt, and it does appear possibly a female, which is quite cool. So I'll keep you updated on this guy. It's doing really, really well and is actually now pretty much on medium-sized crickets, so the appetite's changed massively. So this here's another new addition that I got reasonably recently. I actually molted last night. So this is a new Mexican red rump sling, or Brachypelma vagans. It's quite small at the moment, as you can see in comparison to the actual deli cup. It's grown really, really fast, and has molted once since I've had it, and I've only sort of had it for about a week now. However, it is doing really well. As adults, they do look really cool. They have pretty much a full black body, and the abdomen is a bright red color. So they're quite a nice looking spider, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is probably my favorite invert in my collection. This is my Scolopendra dahani, or the Vietnamese giant centipede. So I've had this for about a year. It did actually lay a clutch of eggs. However, because it was slightly disturbed by the light being switched on, she did begin to actually eat her eggs. So that's unfortunate. She's about 8 inches long now, and hasn't molted yet since the last time. So she may be coming up to a molt soon. It's possible that she could lay some eggs again. So I have been putting a towel over the top of her cage to prevent her being disturbed by any light. You can see they're quite sensitive to vibration, and she actually flicked towards the sound of my voice. So that's the end of part 1 of the video. I'll upload part 2 as a separate video. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe for more content, and stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching.